So here we are again today with another ANTOR podcast in the 70th anniversary year of the association. ANTOR brings together 70 destinations worldwide who are based in the UK and have representatives in the UK and are targeting the UK and European markets. Today, I'm delighted to have Dwayne Bentley with me from the Samoa Tourism Authority. He is Acting Director of Tourism. Hi, Dwayne. How are you doing? He's actually on the podcast directly from Samoa. So we're in different time zones. So how are you doing, Dwayne?
Talofa, Alison. I'm very well, thank you. And it's great to be on the program. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
That's a pleasure. As a member of ANTOR, it's an absolute privilege to have you as a member of ANTOR. And of course, we are different time zones here. So I've just had my dinner and you've just had your breakfast. So that's the great thing about Samoa, isn't it? You've got different time zones and you can do different things while you're there as well. I know Samoa very well. I have to say to the audience, I've been lucky enough to have come over and visited your stunning islands several times. But one thing I haven't done is the experience of going over to American Samoa and living another day and then coming back to Samoa, which is something I really want to do. You've been a member of ANTOR for many years. So I just wondering, what do you consider to be the main benefit of ANTOR membership?
Thank you. Look, for us, it's a key part of the work that we do across all key markets that we have a presence in, including UK and Europe. It's about engagement, especially with the travel trade, being a destination that's so far away for British travelers. It's important for us to work very closely with the travel trade. And so ANTOR, through its program and activities, allows us the opportunity to develop that relationship, showcase our destination, and improve the understanding of the travel trade with regards to what Samoa is all about and how it's different from other destinations in the Pacific.
Yeah, and you may be a long way away, but I've done that journey several times, and it can be quite exciting. You get to watch a lot of films on a lot of planes, and you can stop off en route, and you can stop off in Sydney, you can stop off in Auckland, you can stop off in Singapore. You can make it a little bit of a round the world tour to get to Samoa and then really chill in only the way the Samoans know how to do it. So I do believe that it's a great destination to add on to VFR trips to Australia or New Zealand, or even just, that special Singapore, Sydney, Samoa trip. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as you said, Alison, we're a wonderful addition to an itinerary down under. So if it's whether it's to Australia or to New Zealand, Samoa is easily accessible from both countries. Out of Australia, pre-COVID, visitors had the option of traveling either through Sydney or Brisbane, and as we reopen to international travelers, those options will once again be available to travelers from the UK. And then, of course, out of Auckland, New Zealand, easily accessible with daily flights on Air New Zealand. And then, as you mentioned, Alison, look, we're on the other side of the world, and so it's for that special once in a lifetime travel. Samoa definitely ticks all the boxes. If it's culture, adventure, nature-based experiences that any traveler is after, there are a lot of amazing experiences that are available in Samoa.
Yes, and of course, I believe you're reopening on the 1st of August, which is exciting. And you've got Qantas flying over to you, which is even more exciting.
Yes, very excited with our reopening on the 1st of August. A lot of work happening on the ground as resorts and hotels work on getting ready to once again welcome and host visitors, international travelers from the 1st of August, including travelers from the UK. So very exciting. Our opening is to all travelers. So it's Kiwis, Aussies, and anyone that is that of course meets the requirements for immigration and a few of our health entry requirements. Very exciting. You mentioned, Alison, the development with Qantas. That's in the final stages, we understand, of obtaining regulatory approvals. So if and when that does get over the line, a huge development for Samoa, and especially for long-haul travel from the UK. It just makes it a lot easier for the travel trade as well as for consumers in terms of booking flights, because of course Qantas operates directly between the UK and Australia. And so when that direct connection between Australia and Samoa is in place, then it becomes near seamless for international travelers. So very exciting indeed.
Absolutely. And of course, one niche market you didn't mention is honeymoons. And a lot of people that I've come across in the past, especially in the travel trade, have decided to come to Samoa for their honeymoon, because if you want to relax, that's the one place to do it. And there's some very romantic areas to do that in across the islands.
Absolutely. And if you're, for honeymooners and newlyweds who are looking for a place that is off the beaten track, a place that is very special and unique, then Samoa ticks all the boxes. And in terms of experiences that catered specifically to honeymooners and couples looking for a romantic getaway, we've got a handful of boutique resorts, not big, large-scale resorts that specialize in ensuring a wonderful and a unique Samoan honeymoon experience.
So that's absolutely, and going back to a little bit back to the Samoa Tourism Authority, we're talking about the structure, or looking to talk about the structure here, and I believe that you are an independent organisation, but report into the Ministry of Tourism, and have a large team of people working with you.
So we're a government body. We are fully funded by the government of Samoa, and so we are an agency of the government. We report to a board of directors and also to the Minister of Tourism. We are, I'd say, by Samoan standards, I think we're a relatively sized organization, but in comparison, we are a pretty small outfit. We're pretty lean. We've got a small executive management team that looks after everything from sales and marketing, as we know, as well as product development, business intelligence, and policy and sector coordination. So essentially, the Samoa Tourism Authority is a one-stop shop that coordinates, if you like, tourism development, sustainable tourism development for the benefit of Samoa.
And of course, you've got overseas representatives, you've got your own offices in New Zealand, Australia, and a representation office in the UK that covers Europe.
Yes, absolutely. So we have our own offices in Auckland for the New Zealand market, and then in Sydney for the Australian market. And of course, we've got representation offices in London for the UK and European market, in Los Angeles for the US market, and then we've also got similar arrangements for the Chinese and Japanese and Korean markets.
Which is fantastic for such a small community and a small destination. It's very dynamic to have those hands-on in-market offices. It's quite exceptional.
Absolutely, it's crucial to the work that we do. For a small national tourism body, obviously, there are certain restrictions for us. And so the advantage of working through representation partners, such as those that we work closely, such as Representation Plus in the UK market, is it allows us to have a direct presence on the ground, and also specifically implement activities that are aligned with our strategic objectives, including, of course, enhancing trade engagement.
And of course, overcomes the time zone issues.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
So how long have you been working for the STA?
So all up, I've been here at Samoa Tourism Authority for about 12 years in the role of head of sales and marketing. And as you mentioned, I'm currently the head of the organization at the moment in an acting capacity.
Well, hopefully that acting will become a permanent performance, because I'm sure you're perfectly capable of doing that. It'd be fantastic to have you at the helm. And how long have you been in the industry, Dwayne?
I've been in the industry since 2001, when I graduated from university in 2000, and I started off in 2001 in the airline industry. And the past 22 years, I'd say 19 of those 22 years have been in the travel and airline industry.
So in that case, you must have seen many changes during that time. Are there any that come to mind that really changed the whole universe for you or for your industry in Samoa?
Lots of fantastic developments, including on the ground here in Samoa in terms of product development, the development of unique and different experiences, many of which have been around for many, many years, but have been refined to better cater to the needs of today's traveler. And of course, coming out of COVID, we're exceptionally mindful of the new norm, and just in anticipation of traveler needs, especially with regards to safety and hygiene. Over the years, of course, we've seen development of new hotels and resorts, which has really aided our tourism development strategy and aspirations, because it's enhanced the capacity on the ground here. In terms of airlift into Samoa, there continue to be bottlenecks, but over the past 22 years, there have been improvements, and so as the National Tourism Office, we continuously advocate for further enhancements and improvements to allow sustainable tourism development to continue and to ultimately benefit Samoa.
And for anybody listening to this podcast who's maybe been to Fiji or Tahiti, Samoa is very different. It's very much more laid back. It's a smaller tourism environment, which is lovely. It's full of boutique hotels, owner managers, all high end, but in their own way, sustainably high end. What would you say are your main sort of features that you would compare yourself? Because obviously, if someone's coming all that way, they want to do Tahiti, Fiji, and they need to do Samoa. So, how do we kind of get that message across? How do we explain what's so unique about Samoa?
I think the ultimately at the end of the day, it's of course the different experiences, and you'll find, we find that the sort of common ingredients in all of these different experiences is ultimately the people that deliver these different experiences. And so as Samoans, we are uniquely different from our brothers and sisters in the Pacific, across in Fiji and across in Tahiti. You mentioned before, Alison, that yes, we are smaller, and we also have our own way of doing things. We're a bit more, we're definitely authentic. And as you mentioned before, a lot of boutique resorts and hotels in Samoa, and so it's quite exclusive. And so travelers to Samoa definitely get the sense that that they have the whole resort to themselves. And in terms of the hospitality, of course, our 3,000-year-old Polynesian culture is still very much alive. And it's, when you compare it to the other Polynesian destinations, I think we're definitely up there in terms of the, purest Polynesians that are left in the world. And so, that means a lot to us because our culture is still very much intact. It's alive. It's something that we practice day in and day out. And it's not a place where you need to go to a cultural show in order to experience the culture. It's a living culture that visitors will be able to experience from the moment they touch down at the airports. As they clear through the airport and make their way to the to their hotels and resorts, they'll see it, they'll experience it everywhere they'll travel to in Samoa. So it's definitely not hard for visitors to immediately immerse themselves in Samoa and everything that Samoa is about. And we're not just talking culture, we're extremely laid back. It's, stepping off the aircraft, you'll definitely get that feel that it's a completely different pace from one that one would know in London or somewhere else in the UK. And so, from there on, you've instantly arrived in Samoa, and everything happens in Samoan time.
So we managed to get this far, and there's two things we haven't even discussed, and they're both religion. So one of my favorite things in Samoa is church on Sunday. It is the most extraordinary experience ever. The singing is amazing. The whole atmosphere is amazing. I don't do church. I'm not a religious person, but for me, one of the most moving moments ever when I come to Samoa, and whenever I recommend people come somewhere, I always suggest that they take time to make sure they're there on a Sunday. But then there's the other religion, which we all know about over here, which has got a ball involved, and it's called rugby.
Yes, of course.
So how have we got this far without talking about either of those two things?
Yes, a huge part of our culture and a huge part of Samoa is definitely rugby. We're a rugby mad, loving nation. And so every time our national team, Manu Samoa, play, the whole country rallies behind them. Win or lose, they can guarantee on the entire country's support. And we're not just talking about, the 200,000 Samoans here in Samoa. We're talking about the tens of thousands of Samoans that are scattered across the globe, including there in the UK, where some of our boys are well known in UK rugby circles, and of course for their talent. They're a huge part of the work that we do. I mean, they're also big-time ambassadors. They carry the flag. They carry the name of the country wherever they go, wherever they travel. And so, we acknowledge that a lot of the recognition and awareness about Samoa in general that's been built up over the years has rugby has had a big part to play in that achievement.
Absolutely. And everywhere you go in Samoa, there's someone kicking a rugby ball or throwing a rugby ball or doing something that's even little tiny kiddies. It's just an amazing part of your whole experience of being in Samoa.
Absolutely. And, driving around the country in the evening, kids and clubs are out practicing, playing friendly games. And it's not uncommon for travelers to stop, sort of watch on, or even participate and be a part of the activities.
Absolutely, and we won't mention the Twinalangi family because they're just far too good to get recognition. Everyone knows them. Everyone knows that they're related to Samoa. Thank you so much, Dwayne. I don't know if you've got anything else you want to add to this podcast. Is there anything I haven't covered?
No, you've covered everything, Alison. Look, we're really happy with our partnership with ANTOR. As mentioned before, it's strategically important for us to work with partners and platforms that ANTOR provides, especially in terms of enhancing trade engagement in the UK, especially for a sport destination that's on the other side of the world. And it always helps that we have representation directly on the ground who are able to directly respond to any trade inquiries there and then they may come up.
And one of the great positive things out of COVID, and I know there's been lots of negative things, but one of the most positive things is that we've all got used to doing these virtual meetings, which from a local perspective is kind of okay, we're a bit fed up with it. But when we can have these amazing meetings, together, when we are the other side of the world, it makes life so much easier.
Absolutely, and often many times I forget that we're in completely different time zones, and it just kind of doesn't register. But absolutely, it's been very beneficial, especially with the closure of borders and so forth. And I think it's definitely something from COVID that's going to continue going forward, although we also recognize that face-to-face meetings are once again taking place. But it's fantastic that we have, virtual means to connect more frequently.
Absolutely. So on behalf of ANTOR, and I'm sure everybody else in the UK and all our listeners, we wish you every success with your reopening. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of people Googling frantically your website or ANTOR.com, where they will find your pages and then your website. So thank you so much, Dwayne, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alison, and thank you to ANTOR for the opportunity. And we look forward to seeing more travelers from the UK and Samoa in the near future.